Hey guys, welcome to HOLTS. Today I am going to be going through the highlights of the December 2021 sale that takes place on the 13th and the 14th of this month. There are some absolute screamers in here. Enjoy. It's an ad set of Canterbury hammer gun, and I just thought it was worthy of note because the shapes are so peculiar. That one before had such beautiful flowing lines. This one is much more the straight line man's gun. You've got much more aggressive angles throughout it, but actually because of the composition and the way it's put together, it's quite nice. You've got straight edge here, very straight around the balls with a really harsh angle back. Beautiful flaring engraving. Even the hammers have quite a bold shape to them. I mean, the gun itself has a lot of similar characteristics to the other. You've got a strange opening system, but actually in itself couldn't be more different. They've got a few nice guns with peculiar opening here actually. A side lever Riley, a bit chunkier than the others that are here. A few push down underlevers, another ad set of Canterbury. The Damascus on this is pretty wild actually. Like, it's not too detailed and in itself is very beautiful. And I know that it's not the finest of work in the world by some standards, but it is nice looking. It's just a little basic. And the dog on the bottom is mostly worn out and perhaps a little crude. Another side lever, a Thomas Turner. Again, I find these things so beautiful. Now there's a sort of a sheep mentality between some gun makers to make the same thing as everyone else because that's what sells and that's what the best statistical thing to make is. But look at that. I mean, a hump back on a side lever, side by side hammer gun. Left-handed lever, but it's set up and to an angle that actually, as you rotate the gun into your thumb, you come off the gun, rotate it into your thumb, and it's there, ready to pull out. That's interesting. Very interesting. And another Blanche. Blanche made some lovely things, and this, again, if you look at this scroll engraving and the little bouquets, this is a very fine gun, and again, it's got that same style to it, and style isn't a word that is used lightly, because inherently style is a word that needs to be earned. Rosson, Elliot, Webley, Churchill? Yeah, you can feel it from the top there. So if you put your hands around, you've got the crown on the bottom, which is a sure giveaway, put your hands around, your fingers touch the Churchill rib. And obviously the fact that the barrels are very small. I wonder if there was any Carter gun makers. I never really researched it, I've never seen one. Probably not. Probably too busy being peasants. Many of you will know my thoughts on game scenes. I like some, I dislike some, I suppose the same as all of us really. But to really be appreciated, a game scene needs to look like this. This is a Furlib, an Italian gun, and it's engraved by a guy called Bregoli. It's just stunning. Because instead of pheasants and partridge, you've got hoopoes and pigeons. Come have a look. Starting at the back of this bad boy, you've got a 15.5-inch stock. Yeah, it's got an inch extension, but that is actually going to bring it into the realms of possibility for, 6-footers. There's a small repair at the front here, but apart from that, the stock looks in really good order. It is quite chunky, but this gun's, not a delicate looking beast. Let's put it at that. It's not a delicate looking beast. Extremely fine checkering, drop points, and full side locks. And this is where this gun starts to get really interesting. That pigeon, which is more of a dove-like pigeon, is just beautiful. In fact, everything about this gun is beautiful. The game scene, the mountains in the background, the trees. It is all done in a sort of Bellino style with some other little bits. You've got fine scroll around the edges, borders. Top lever is just interesting. It's made with slightly different shapes, and I suppose that's what I like about it. This gun has character and soul, but it's put together And there's lots of guns out there with character and soul, but this one's put together with some class. On the other side, I easily fell in love with this. You've got a pair of hoopoo here, one sat in a tree and one flying there out of the front. I can't help but be endeared to it. And at the bottom here, you've got a gnarly old tree with a couple of hoopoos sat on it and some crossed feathers on the forend. The forend is long, very long. It's like 10 inches long. Given the barrels are only, I think, 27 and 5/8, 70 centimetres, this extremely long forend is, it looks strange. But with the long stock and the long forend, I tell you what, for a guy with longer arms, it's really nice. The trigger guard, lovely. The recurring theme of that feather shape, lovely. How could you not just think this? Yeah, I know it's not English, but who cares? When it's engraved to this standard and built to this sort of interesting spec, as a gun you could look at for a long time and never get bored of. I missed that on the bottom actually, that in the background, faintly in the sky, is a skein of geese. Oh, duck? No, it's not a skein of geese, it's a little group of ducks. And I think if I had a magnifying glass or better eyes, I can actually tell what they were. They are just... I love this gun. It's different enough and well executed enough to really be of serious interest. I like it. What lot number is it, you ask? It's lot 1400 in the December main sale. It's valued at 3 to 5 grand. Actually, I tell you what, I think it's worth it. I know it probably sounds stupid for me to think I think it's worth it, but you know, a lot of Continental side-by-sides don't have a lot of residual value over here and aren't of obscene interest. This one is. And you know, there's something really strange about the fact there's no border around this side lock whatsoever. There's no border. So it kind of just bleeds straight into the edge of the wood. And usually I think that was weird. But I don't. I like this. I like it a lot. And if you have a look at the top rib as well, you've got a unengraved channel down the middle and then this textured outside. I can't get enough of this gun actually. Very nice. Fabrique Nationale d'Armes de Guerre Herstal. It's peculiar. I wonder why it's actually made it into the sale. You always get some strange things in the main sale, and sometimes they're not obvious of why they're in here. But it's the ones that aren't obvious of why they're in here that are usually worthy of looking at. Might have to ask the main man on that. It's a very fine gun. Just because it's a Boxlock doesn't mean it's not fine. SO4 trap, an SO4 in black. That's no comment, but it's pretty cool. The Poseidon. Any gun called Poseidon is odd and should be engraved with fish. The Abbiatico and Salvanelli Poseidon. Yeah, this is a good looking gun. Abbiaticos were one of my favourite gun makers for a long time. I mean, look at that. Just generally for being a bit naughty. When you've got two bridles holding on the lockwork from the outside to a mainframe, it's just different to anyone else. It's like side lock trigger plate, side locks. That is cool. The fit and finish and engraving on Abbiaticos is always top drawer. It affords you not having a gape on the gun. The gape, by the way, is this bit here, because it's a big gaping hole in the bottom of the action. That's not actually why it's called that, but this is what it is. So this here is the gape on guns. It's the cutaway from when the forend iron hits into the action. This gun doesn't have one because as the gun opens, look at that little flap. The flap with Poseidon on opens up and stops scraping on the action. That's cool. Who cannot love an Abbiatico? The Boss style forend. Yeah, this is a smiler. This is a smiler. I like this a lot. The thinness of the walls around the chambers, everything about Abbiaticos is just a bit sweet. I need to put that down. That's a bit tasty. Although the name Poseidon, I still think it should have fish on it. MX2000. They've got a lot of nice, modern, big, heavy trap guns in here, which will suit some people. There's an MX2000. Ooh, a custom Browning. Let's have a look at that. As always, there is a bunch of custom Brownings and original Browning B25s in the sale. This is one of them. This is a bit peculiar. This is a M1 style gun. So I presume this gun would have started life as an A1. It's had side plates fitted, It's had a little bit of extra carving and beading around the top of the detonation here. It is certainly improved from a standard black gun, if you like a good looking gun. The safety catch has been slimmed down. All in all, it's a lovely thing. It's lot 1609. It's an EVOS engraved gun actually. As you can see, the side plates have been cut into the action there and it's just been carved out a little bit. I like the scroll engraving. It's all done to a high standard, let's say. It's an interesting one. This sort of thing was very popular to do back in the day, and I've seen a few of these custom guns. Okay, a lot of these custom guns. Nowadays, it's not quite as economically viable to do, but it's nice. And if you wanted a very expensive looking gun for 4 to 6 grand, this would be it. I love the straight hand stock. It's classy. It's very classy. However, it is not the king of the Browning customs in this sale. This is lot 1668. And I think this is a bit special. And you'll excuse me if I read this off a list because it is quite a lot of work. The provenance is that the vendor has provided us with the following information. The action was filed up with a rounded body, additional beading work, and the beetle back safety slide was fitted by Richard Barnes of Boston. Richard Barnes has been doing some beautiful stuff to B25s, and this is no exception. The extra beading, the extra carving, that filed up action, that rounded action is absolutely beautiful. Just takes it up a little bit of a class. It's obviously quite a bit more work to do something like this than it would be to produce a standard B25, and I like it. It's perhaps a little bit more gothic looking, perhaps a little more English looking. It's just different looking to a standard Browning. I love the beetle back safety. I think a beetle back safety is lovely anyway, and this is absolutely no different. I'm a big fan of that. That's a nice thing. It's certainly just a bit different to your standard Browning safety. It would be nice to have that as a non-selective, although I think converting it to a non-selective would have been quite a bit of work. The next bit of custom work is the top rib was removed and restocked by Elderkins of Spalding with highly figured stock and forend. And I think you can agree the stocking work is absolutely beautiful. It's a lovely piece of wood, just dark enough to match the general darkness and blackness of the gun. I love the ribless barrels. Obviously Browning made their own ribless guns back in the day, and this is fitting. It's a fitting sort of thing. It feels good. Like it's one of those guns that feels good in the hand. And I know that, again, that's a stupid thing to say because lots do, but surprisingly, when you feel really good stuff, lots don't as well. The trigger was color case hardened. That's a lovely touch, and it's got Browning gold inlaid on the sides, and the quality of the work of this gold inlay lettering it looks like it's done by a computer. It is insane. And you've got 1962 on the bottom there, which was the date of birth of this gun originally. The barrels were Nitro reproved in 2020, so last year. So this gun has clearly been a labour of love for someone last year, the year of COVID. And what a beauty it is. Continuing on the provenance, the barrels were struck up and prepared by Mick Kelly. The gold inlay work was by Peter Boxall. Best polish and blacking from Johnson's, and finished by TR White & Son with checkering of 26 lines per inch. It is lovely. There's nothing else we can say about it, but it is just a lovely, lovely thing. If you like your custom Brownings, or you just like your slightly different guns, you're going to fall in love with this. It's a badass custom Browning. It's the perfect mixture of class and just generally being cool. I like it. An MX-8, an MX-20. Small bore Parazzis are significantly less common. Everyone's seen an MX-8 or an MX-2000, but the small bore Parazzis are worthy of a mention. Look, they're lovely. They're beautifully scaled. Engraved by Techie. It's nice. Very nicely proportioned. Whereas this is not, but it is still beautifully proportioned. This is a 682 gold. One of the originals, before the Goldie, but just after the 682. It is a wicked gun, one of the best guns Beretta's ever made. Just enough palm swell to be interesting. It was still at a point when, I'm not going to say Beretta don't do this anymore, but I suppose comparative cost-wise, it's probably the same. But now, to get this sort of features in a Beretta, you are spending, I don't know, 3 and a bit thousand plus. And this 682 Sporting is going to be valued at what? 15 to 18 at a push. I love it. And what I love most about this particular one, firstly, I love the tramline rib. I'm glad Beretta have brought that back out for their 30th anniversary. But look at that. It's the most pathetic addition. Not pathetic, pathetic's hard. That's not nice. It's the most quaint, silly, pointless addition that if I had seen somebody I didn't like put it on a gun, I'd sniff at it. But I kind of like that. It goes with the age of the gun. Like, that fills me with joy. That really does. Not as much as that though. A DT10 EELL. Doesn't take much explaining why people like these. You get all of the solidness and the reliability of a DT10, which is, you know, one of the better guns ever made. Except they stick side plates on it. The big solid beads, and it's nice and it's flash and it's exciting, and you can stand up with your other mates and like that moves exceptionally. That really is lovely. Yeah, this was one of the guns to have back in the day. Obviously, it's been replaced with another model now, but this is unbelievably tidy. And the wood is striking. It's very different. That's worth a look. 1652, very much worth a look. And that 682 Goldie was 1654. MD6 by AOA, we'll do a separate film on that. Parazzi ST3. This is quite smart. A Help for Heroes EELL. I mean, it's just a EELL, but it's got a different trigger guard with Help for Heroes on it. And Help for Heroes on the floor plate there. The concept being that when these guns were sold new, they gave a certain portion of money to Help for Heroes. Which now it's second hand, suddenly feels a bit silly. Maybe if you buy this gun, you should give some money to Help for Heroes. Yeah, something is different. I can't tell what it is. It's lot 1616, and it's slightly different to usual, but I'm not intelligent enough to tell the difference. Apparently it is exactly the same as all of the standard guns, or at least it's the same as the other one that's just there. I just feel like it's carved out a little more. So this is lot 1622. It is an estimate of 1,500 to 2,000. The reason it looks different as a EELL is this is from 1983. I mean, that is an unbelievably early EELL. And I really like it. I actually really love the engraving. And to be fair, it looks hand finished. It's quite quaint for a side-plated gun. And the wood is nothing to write home about, but you know, by 80s Beretta standards, it's exhibition grade. Oh, it's epic. And you know, it wouldn't have been a lot of money back then either. Not really. But 1,500 to 2? I mean, you're very unlikely to see another one. 1622. I mean, that's some scaffold. Oh. This is lot 1464, a Boss double trigger sidelock ejector. It is valued at £2,000 to £2,500. Often when it is said that something is too good to be true, it often is. And in this gun's case, it's a bit of both, let's say. In that, the thing that is perhaps too good to be true is getting a mint and in perfect order Boss sidelock from 1902 for under £2,500. Or that, under £5,000. I suppose the game is what concessions do you have to make? Well, the first is this. The gun's restocked. As you can see, the wood is a bit loud. It's not particularly traditional. Don't get me wrong, it's a lovely piece of wood. However, it sounds stupid, isn't it? It would be a bit like buying a Jag E-Type and spraying it in Kawasaki green. That's about the only analogy I can make. If it's your E-Type and you want it in Kawasaki green, go for it. And some people will find that fun. However, the purists in us, perhaps the wood is a little bit loud. But it is beautiful and, you know, is what it is. Boss & Co, makers of best guns only. I mean, most of us have dreamt of owning a Boss at one point or another. They really are some of the best guns ever built. Unfortunately, new, they are a long way out of most of our price ranges, given that I think you'd struggle to even get one plain without a stock for £100,000. They are the best guns pretty much in the world though, so they're worth it. However, you can buy them second hand, and you can buy them second hand for very reasonable money. So as a bit of a test, I have found about the cheapest Boss in this HOLTS December sale, and it's this one here. Second thing, the barrels are new barrels made in 1938 by the maker, and it's got the faint Boss & Co on the rib there. At some point it's been re-blacked, probably a couple of times over the course of its life. So yeah, that's been taken off. It'd be nice to have that repicked. I mean, given that this gun is bright finished, it's had a restock, you might as well just have it repicked, in my opinion. Secondly, I mean, the case is nice, and we can all agree the case is absolutely lovely. We like the case. Secondly, the ejectors are a bit iffy. This fore end ejects on the right hand barrel occasionally, or it ejects every time occasionally, and the other fore end does not work. So it's in need of a few repair jobs. However, what it does go is bang bang on the triggers. So for those of us who are just going to go out and have a play, you could put the other fore end on, have a non-ejector, Boss side locker non-ejector, with the potential to get the ejectors fixed in the other and go out and use it. And needless to say, the action itself is beautiful and original, and that is something. So concessions, it's a restock. The concessions is that it needs a little bit of work. But to be fair, a competent gunsmith should be able to fix that with relative ease. I love the beaded trigger guard. I love the Boss action. I've always loved Boss actions. There's something about them that is just a bit nice. They're never too flash or over the top. They're just done perfectly. Look at the detonation on it. Case and point is here. Look around these detonators here, and you can see a little floral bouquet, just beautifully put with a scroll, fine scroll around it. And then look at the way the metal is carved up with this beautiful, utterly natural curve of metal up to the top. There's no harsh lines, it just flows beautifully. That's what you're buying when you buy a £2,500 Boss. The stock is of very limited consequence. That will bother you or it won't, but to be fair, if you were coming into the market and wanted a best gun and a bit of a project, it would be like buying that E-Type, you know, with a slight running issue and a paint job. It's still an E-Type, and if you picked up that E-Type Jag for £2,500, you'd feel pretty good. And I suppose that is this gun. This is a gun to buy and enjoy, and know that over the course of your life, you're going to bring it back into the glory that it deserves. Inherently, for all of its faults, it still is a Boss. And if you told me 10 years ago that I could own a Boss one day, I would have laughed. But I could own this Boss with, you know, minimal sacrifice. Sell a few guns. And that's quite exciting to me. For me, there are other cheap Bosses that perhaps would float my boat a bit more, but this one is particularly nice. You gotta love it, because it's a Boss, even if it is Kawasaki green. Some guns just don't take any explaining, do they? And that is one of them. Very, very pretty indeed. Very pretty indeed. This is quite smart. This is a Holland and Holland Royal. I suppose I don't really have much to say on it other than, who else would you meet with a Hollands with 4 barrels? There's got to be something you could do with them. Like, given that you've got so many barrels spare, you could do whatever you wanted with the others. You could have one Cerakoted for bad weather. You could have one multi-choked. You could have one cut off and sleeved to, I don't know, 36 inches. One could do what one desired. Thing is, you've got 2 spare barrels. Well, you've got four barrels. 2 that don't even belong to this gun that you could then regard in your mind as spares. You could find another action from a similar period and try and get them together. I don't know. Guns where the possibilities are endless are vastly more exciting than guns where you have, crikey, 4-barrel sets on a single action is quite heavy. These are lovely. Modern English guns are sometimes very special. These are a pair of Ray Ward of London. The lot is 1365. The estimate is 38 to 42,000. They're a pair of 20-bore side-by-sides, built on a Holland and Holland style action with beautiful engraving. They're P. Ashford engraved. You've got that deep, bold acanthus on the sides, quite Art Deco, with a woodcock on the bottom. And they are called the Woodcock model. The wood's quite special as well, you know, it's just a bit different. It's not something you see every day. It's a nice mixture of, say, wavy lines, nothing too harsh, very soft looking character to the wood. Very, very pleasant. With 1-inch horn heel plates and gold ovals. They're a lovely pair of guns. I feel like a section on cases is probably due, because this case is stunning. There is a lot of beautiful cases here today. I was chatting to a mate the other day about normalising a lower standard of living. And this is a perfect example of that. Gun cases. It used to be that we were really happy, people are very happy when they get an ABS mass manufactured £5 case with a gun, and they feel like that's a luxury item. And in fact, it's better than nothing. But I can see over the next few years the normalising cardboard cases and the plastic case being a luxury, when that was in fact a downgrade from before. This case and what's in it is beautiful, and it deserves time spent talking about it, because turning up to a shoot and just pulling a gun slip out the back of your car kind of sucks by the time, if you've ever worked or used a classic bit of leather. This case is a particularly good example of something beautiful. So it's a oak leather case, beautifully put together, big solid brass corners, a proper travel case. Leather straps, and again, it doesn't really matter whether it's new or old or original bits or non-original bits. It's nice when it's old because you have stickers like this. For J.H. Lindsley, Dumfries, June 1940, you've got an old travel sticker. You've got from Truelock, Harrison, Richardson, formerly of Messer Street, there's some history there. You've got Maunsell Esquire on the case. The quality of the locks and hinges on these cases is stunning. This is lot 1850 in the sale. Inside you've got an old label, and I understand that this shouldn't be exciting in the slightest because it's just an old piece of paper, but it is beautiful. Truelock and Harris gun makers. And most cases you open and there's stuff inside. This one starts to get exciting. Look at this. You have a tin inside that contains your barrels and full array of patches, cleaning equipment, cartridges potentially. That in itself is amazing. And inside the box, you have the stock and action, all fitted and ready to go. Let's pop this out. The gun itself is just a Truelock and Harris. Like, it is a very nicely put together gun. Rotary underlever, beautiful hammers, very sleek locks, coarse checkering. Like, this was a good practical gun, and I think the case and the metal part inside is probably an indicator of where it was taken, or perhaps what it was used for. This gun was taken to some places and used. This is a hard case. The barrels are some of the coolest Damascus you'll ever see. This is etched Damascus. Truelock and Harris, 9 Dawson Street, Dublin. So obviously you put a light etch over Damascus barrels to bring out the colour difference between them before you brown them. But this is a particular stylistic choice, is to leave them in for longer and actually get a real texture and pattern to the Damascus. Obviously it's less forgiving, will show up a few more errors in the Damascus, or perhaps a few more imperfections. And it does, because you can suddenly see absolutely everything. The concentricity of the lines, the quality of Damascus is way more apparent. You can start to pick holes wherever you want, which is inherently interesting. Because I didn't check the value on this gun, but I'm about to on the HOLTS app, which is where you can go to check all of the values of the guns that you like and spend hours watching. So all you have to do is bang in a lot number, if you know the lot number you're after. 1850, jump to lot. 1850, go. Wait for the Norfolk Wi-Fi. Truelock and Harris, 12-bore, 1866 patent rotary underlever hammer gun. 2.5-inch chambers. Built in 1866. £500 to £700. £500 to £700. A lot of that value will come in the fact that that right barrel is well below the recommended William, about a minimum, about 12 thou. However, it's still in proof, or else you wouldn't be able to purchase it. It was London reproved in 1993, looking at the stamps on the bottom there. You'd probably have to be quite careful about what you put through it, let's be honest. But for £500 to £700, I might be crass in saying it, but it's worth it for the case. The gun itself is absolutely lovely though. I can't help but absolutely love it. It's nice. It's just peculiar enough to be interesting. The coarser checkering and the general design of it just reeks of a gun that was built to be used. and used by someone who was actually going to use it. The case, everything about this was built to travel and hunt and actually depend upon foul weather, good weather, hot, cold, sweat, wherever you wanted. This is a lovely thing. Sometimes you pick up guns and you just know they've got a story. And you might not know what it is, but you know they've been used by someone who wanted to use it, wasn't afraid of getting their hands dirty. This kind of has that feel to it. It has that feel to it. And I know I mentioned it already, but the case is nice. This is one of my favourite guns in the sale by quite a way. It's certainly in my top 5. It is amazing. It featured in the AOA video I did with Simon. It is a 410 model 53. It is a live pigeon gun spec'd 410. It's just amazing. Go and check that video out. There's a good section on it. It is inherently bizarre that anyone bought this in the first place. I think it's 2,000 to 3,000, lot 15, 12. It's one of the guns in here that I would buy, not because I love it, because there's a lot of things that I love, or at least say a top 5 I love, but it's the one that I would buy and then use regularly. Imagine just stood there with, on a modest partridge shoot, going, there you go. When a bird's hopping a hedge at 10 yards, you're not cutting it in half with your 8-pound 12 bore. This is what this gun's built for, but it still handles and fits in a very adult way. I just love it. And more importantly, it's possibly unique. And possibly unique is special. Very special. And there's a lot of nice AOAs in here, actually, a lot. I know we look at one every time, but if this is your first 100 guns, this is I think this is a centre vision stock, a crossover centre vision stock, meaning it's built to cast off face and then back straight. Not for a crossover. A true crossover is when your left eye will pick it up and you mount it in the right shoulder. This gun mounts straight between the eyes. Well, that is the point, at least. Very interesting looking gun. This is a Joseph Lang & Sons. It wins absolutely no points for beauty, but it is, it's something. I presume it's a 3-inch gun. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's a 3-inch Magnum, Joseph Lang with a crossover stock. It's certainly a different kettle of fish. Probably a wildfowling gun, just looking at the way that rib's set up, but again, I don't really know. What I do know is that safety catch is quite cool. It's just a bit different to your standard, right? Flick that across. It's probably, I don't really know whether it's easier pushing it back or forth. It certainly looks a little bit weirder when it's offline, but at least you know the safety is on. I know we looked at a ribless Browning earlier, but seeing as ribs are dead to me now, go check that video out. 1659 is a Rizzini ribless. There's a few ribless guns in the main sale. Lot 1659 is a Rizzini round body EM, I believe, with a ribless barrel. And as far as I can see, apart from the extended trigger guard and grip cap, I don't know, apart from that, it's quite a sweet custom spec Rizzini. It's 2.5 to 3 grand and it's listed as virtually new and unused, and I would agree with them on that. This gun is virtually new and unused. I'd love to know the story behind it. It is subject to 20% VAT, so one presumes it was never sold, maybe built as a prototype. Either way, I think it's quite sweet. I like the ribless look. It's nice. Anyway, I thought it would, I'd get in trouble if I didn't show it to you really, given that someone asked. Let's look at something more sensible. A pair of Charles Osbornes. Yeah, these fences are very special. Simon Reinhold on his Instagram occasionally posts a carved fence of the day. I think this was one of them. Look at that vine leaf mixed with the acanthus and the flower. And this is beautifully carved. And they say the background's beautifully stippled. This is just a lovely gun. Look at the flowers mixed in with the acanthus on the side and the carved back, the action there, the scallop. It's just very nice. The inlet panels. It's a nice thing. So we're coming to the end now. We've got a few more guns to look at, but Before we get into the rifles, we're going to look at some of the last of the shotguns, and there is some of the best still last sort of stuff here. There's a beautiful pair of Brownings, a lovely pair of Boxlock 20 bores, a couple of pair of AOA number 2s, and these, which it could be a best still last situation on the guns. These are Holland Royal Deluxe. It's a pair of 28 bores from the 1990s. Have a look at those. A very modern, very tidy, very unused, beautiful pair of guns. And if you've held a Royal 12 bore, I can assure you a Royal Deluxe 28 bore is twice as cool. From the sublime to the ridiculous, a Terry Smith 577 Nitro Express double rifle with heavy carved acanthus scroll and a heffalump and egret underneath it. I mean, as guns go, a 577 Nitro Express, I mean, look at those holes. I mean, they are substantial. There's a substantial caliber. What you can say for this gun is that it, you know, probably weighs 23, 24 pounds, so at least when you do shoot it, it's not going to beat you all to hell. I love the beetle-back safety, very pleasant. I quite like the scalloped action, but overall it's just a very big, fat gun. There's a few of Terrence Smith's guns here. One that I'm not going to show you because it might ruin the suitability of this video for most viewers, but we will do a separate video on. You've heard of 12 bore, you've heard of 20 bore, you've heard of 410, you've probably heard of 2.2 shot, 2.2 flow, but have you ever heard of a 350 bore? In this case, I have a pair of pistols. In 350 bore, they are exquisite in every way. So these little bad boys are from the 1840s. Almost certainly an apprentice piece, meaning that this would have been, at the end of an apprenticeship, what some young man had made to prove his skill and prove his worth. They are unsigned, so you don't know who has made them, but whoever it was, they had some serious skill. These are a pair of muff pistols for somebody with a very small muff indeed. The barrels are rifled. They are beautiful offset dolphin hammers, meaning that the hammer hinges in the middle, but is actually offset to the side on the nipple. One presumes you have a, oh wow, look at that. You've got a nipple key and a bull mold. Look at that. This is just insane. I don't even want to open it. I'm going to open it. There you go. Look how small. Look how small that is. That makes my fingerprints look large. This could be one of the sweetest things we've seen in HOLTS, and we've seen some amazingly sweet things. The handles are done in a yellow metal. It has concealed trigger blades, so as you pull the hammer back, they would pop out, but I'm not going to do it any more than that because I'm paranoid. I mean, this is just an absolutely beautiful thing. It is lot 626 for the pair of these. They come with a green leatherette case. It's just a lovely piece of gun making, of history. And although, I mean, they are usable, technically, I suppose, but it's more the fact that these are just a lovely thing. These are the masterful beats of craftsmanship. And yours for £2,000 to £3,000. If they had a name on, I mean, the price on these would be very different. But for those of us who just want the things and perhaps are slightly less concerned about the name, I just can't stop looking at them. The skill that it would take to make something like this is insane. Here's one here, T.A. Smith, late of Holland & Holland. This one's quite nice actually. This is a 4590 2.4 inch case. Look at that little lock there. You have to press that in and the block falls down. Very pleasant thing. Look at this. We saw one of these, I don't know, a year and a half ago. Time flies. This is a limited edition number 22. A Sommer and Auchenfuss 243 Winchester. Yeah, it's a Bullpup 243 stalking rifle. It's got a Cavalier 1.25 to 4 by 24 scope on it. And, you ready for this? It's quite bad to pull the trigger on one of these, so just push this piece up here, pull back, pull up, push back down again, and then sound effect included in the price. I've no idea what this is estimate at. This is $11.21. I fell in love with the last one that came in here. The only issue is they are a bit heavy, but your mag in the back, what's that, going to be like a 5 or 6 shot magazine. There should be an ejection port in the back here. There you go. So as it ejects, that opens, it falls out, and then goes back in. If you truly own a Blazer because it's fast, I can assure you this will be faster. It's cool. Everyone knows it's cool. Bullpups are cool. 243s are cool. I can't believe I just said that. Me, a few years ago, was vomiting. But overall, you've got to admit, if this was a 2 or 3 pounds lighter, it would be a winner. But actually, by the time you'd have to carry it around the woods like this as well. Look an alley. Something more gentlemanly. So one of the things we get asked a lot, or talk about a lot, or argue about in the comments section a lot is, what is the difference between a usable gun and a great gun? And the answer for the most part is finish after a certain point when balance and handling characteristics are taken into play. Finish is a mixture of attention to detail, quality of workmanship, and budget. So we're going to start this section with this. This is a Webley 700. Everyone knows what a Webley 700 is. We've done a video on them, I think. And this is a very pleasant one. It's got an extended stock. It's pretty standard engraving, you know, and it's color hardened. It's 28-inch barrels. They're a gun. However, in the 80s, Holland wanted to offer something a little bit different to their standard best range of sidelocks. So they went to Webley's. I believe they bought a bunch of action forgings and then they finished them themselves. This is a Holland Cavalier, a Webley action finished to the best possible standards. So interestingly, the word Cavalier has lots of meanings. So I should have probably got in touch with Holland or just asked Simon, who's just left, what the appropriate meaning was for this, but you guys can guess. Obviously, the Cavaliers were the supporters of King Charles in the English Civil War. That's one. To have a Cavalier attitude is to show little regard to important issues. I don't think that is perhaps the right thing. And the third is to mean debonair. I think that's probably the meaning they were going for there when they named it the Cavalier. Not the supporter of King Charles and not something, you know, cavalier. AKA flippant. Flippant's not really cavalier, is it? Cavalier means cavalier. So this is a Boxlock Holland. It was built as a budget gun, to be honest. It was built to a very affordable price point by Holland standards, but finished to their exacting standards. This gun is built in 1988. It is lot 1754 in the HOLTS December 2021 sale. And to be honest, it's as close to unused as you'd ever want. The wood is perfect, it's got a good length of stock, it's got a gold oval, the colour hardening is exquisite, and generally it's nice. These sort of things do still fetch a premium, you know. You can buy, this is obviously a personal preference thing, this gun's valued at 3 to 5. There are Holland Royals in this sale valued at that same value. However, this gun is clearly perhaps the wiser option, because for 3 to 5 in a Royal, you're not getting something mint and boxlocky. Firstly, I love it. I love the carved back of the action there. That's a really nice touch. And if we put it next to the if we put it next to the Webley, we can start to see some serious differences. So the first is in the stock finish. Yes, this gun has had a little bit more use, but I've seen a lot of Webley 700s. The finish looks a lot thicker, and not in a good way. And that's hard to explain, but this finish is a lot finer. The wood has been taken down and filled and sort of rubbed up to a slightly better standard. The checkering is to a finer pattern, and you've got a triple fine border as opposed to that scalloped bordering there. You have flat panels of the action after the box there and drop points. The Webley you don't. Drop points don't make, you know, a gun better by any standard, but it is a beautiful fine art, and they're done to a larger standard than their sidelock guns, and I kind of like it. It's proportional. The same eyes that built and the same eyes that looked over and the same hands that built the sidelock built this gun, and it shows that attention to detail is there. The wood metal fit is superior in every way. The engraving is done to a very similar style, but to a better standard. You know, they've gone for that bold scroll or lighter canter scroll, light bordering, nothing too crazy. This is the part where I really start to fall in love with it. Look at that beaded border running all the way around and how that hooks over the top of the action there. You've got that slight hard edge, whereas the Webley is just filed round. And I'm not here dogging on Webley and Scott's because they are amazing guns. It's just more of just a showing what can be done with a little bit more due care and attention. Flip the guns onto their tops and you'll see it's carved, the fences and the balls are carved to a higher standard than the Webley. This is a little bit more, it's built to a budget, right? And this is built up to a standard. It's carved Holland, it's engraved the Holland, the Cavalier, 33 Bruton Street, London on the top, which is spanking. You have a gold inlaid safe and the script is perhaps a better font, a better typeface on the Holland than it is on the Webley. And the safety catch is obviously significantly finer. And the movement of the safety catch, although we're going to start splitting hairs, is better. And to be fair, it's not entirely a Webley 700 action, it's just a Webley action, which is a different thing altogether, but not entirely. Just bear with me for those who are going to get anal on this. The bluing standard is slightly better. The colour hardening standard is different. It's certainly a different style or a different type of colour hardening, just looking at the way that it works in, the colours they've achieved and everything they've done with it. Flip her over once more. On the bottom you'll just start to see some other things. Beaded border on the trigger. That's a nice touch, totally unnecessary. The general metal finish is better as well. You can still see the harsh grit lines and some marks where the metal isn't finished to the same standard. This is brought up to a high polish, and I think it might be hard to tell, but it is better. You've got a diamond instead of a circle, and your fore-end tip here up the front is done to a better standard, as is the checkering. Does that make it a better gun? I mean, internally they're also slightly better finished as well, so yes, we can say that. Yes, the barrels are probably struck to a slightly higher standard, although it's a shotgun, they are inherently crude things. I know which one I would lust after more, and to be honest, it is those little differences that split these two guns apart that make this a best gun. Is it a Cavalier a best gun? I don't know. Answer that in the comments. I don't know the answer, but what I can tell you is it's lovely. It's really lovely. And I promised I wouldn't show this to one of the members, so I do apologise. But it is lovely. However, for those who are perhaps less fussy about name and finish and just want a good, reliable gun, stick to the Webley. I suppose that's as simple an argument as there ever was. And be fair, look at this. This is my key defining argument of why I would buy this over this. The rounded tip to the extended trigger guard, or the trigger guard, not extended because this is the length they came in, to the trigger guard on the Webley 700 does nothing for me. This is stunning, and the wood, oh, it's a Holland, isn't it? It's a Holland, isn't it? I can't believe I just said that, but it is a Holland, isn't it? Every part of Holland and Holland, apart from the fact it's a box lock and not a side lock. It's not this. This is actually made just down the road from where I live. This is Accuracy International. This is apparently a prototype. A 09AX is a prototype. This one's got a fluted barrel. Apparently they found no point in having a fluted barrel, no benefit, so they lost that as a feature. The cutout for the mag turned to the other side, so you could load with your offhand a little easier. So this is quite an interesting prototype. Comes with some nice provenance as well. If you're into Accuracy Internationals, everyone's into Accuracy Internationals, aren't they? That is like probably one of the most undisputably cool guns out there. In 338 lap mag, which is certainly one of those beastie calibers out there. I mean, no 5.77 Nitro Express, but it's pretty meaty. I said something more classy. This we're going to do a separate video on, but you don't get much more classy than this. Bailey's South African Sharpshooters. This is one of 24 made guns, or 24 of the guns ever made, and probably one of the only surviving original models of the Bailey's South African Sharpshooters guns. This has got an amazing story. I will do a separate video on this in a bit. But for now, go and research Bailey's South African Sharpshooters. The video will probably not be out till after the auction, but it is just... This is a special piece of history. And it comes with 3 scopes in leather cases. Oh, yeah, that's lot 1105. This is a beautiful piece of history, and it's usable, and regardless of the history, you don't get a more badass sporterized gun than that. But that was what they chose. Bailey bought them all for his guys privately and had them modified privately. This was the style that they liked him in. I must admit, it just looks epic. Looks absolutely epic. An SMLE 1916 Enfield Mark III. Bang. Oh, beautiful.
Hello. I have something here which is lot 1553. I've known about this. I'm now 56, and I've known about it since I was about 24, I suppose. A very good friend of mine, I won't mention his name. It's a little 410, and it's made by Greener, W.W. Greener, made for W.W. Greener's daughter. It actually says on the barrel, May Greener, along there, and it has her address here, the Cedars, Errington. If you look at it carefully, for a little single barrel 410, you wouldn't expect wood like this. Look at that stunning bit of wood. And then you look at the checkering, gorgeous, absolutely. And you got the kind of flowing scallop figuring here, which you can see there. And I turn it over and you can see it coming down here. And then you have this wonderful escutcheon from the father to the daughter. I'm amazed that we have it. I mean, look at the horn inlaid in there, the horn butt caps, heel and toe plates. Absolutely stunning. What a remarkably rare piece. And for me, because I've known it for so many years, and the gentleman, by the way, well, I won't mention his name, as I said, the reason he's got it is because he did his apprenticeship with W.W. Greener, and he's incredibly close to the family. So that's how he's got it.
This is a Schultz & Larsen, and a very nice one too. It's rare that you see the nicer grade Schultzes. I've seen a lot of good Schultzes with lovely wood, but I must admit, this is lovely. That spiral fluting is some of the most classy spiral fluting I've ever seen. And the gold inlay on the black, you guys know I love a black and gold rifle, but that is nice. Schultz & Larsen creates some absolutely amazing guns, and this is one of them, 1106. It's in 7mm Rem mag, but from the look of it, this is it a DL14 or whatever the model's called? It's the one where you can change the barrel and caliber. So, intelligently, you could get it in a slightly tamer Magnum round. Not that you could just buy that and go and shoot at appropriate animals. You could go and just buy this and go and shoot some appropriate. Quarry, red deer with a 7mm Rem mag is fine. Muntjac might be a little bit small, but that is a lovely hunting rifle. There you go, there's a proper bolt action rifle, a J. Rigby & Co. in 375 Holland Magnum, 4 big game. You can say what you want, but a Rigby 375 Holland is a dream rifle for many of us. I've been lucky enough to shoot one of these, and when it goes in, quite happily one of the best gun moments of my life. The bolt is quite short on this one. Strange, I remember it being longer. I think with the scope in the way, that would piss you off a little bit, certainly if you're being charged by something big. But I'm guessing you probably would opt for no scope in that situation. They are so beautifully proportioned, they really are. The quarter rib, everything about the Rigby big game stuff is just perfect. They don't feel like a big rifle, but they don't kick like a light one. Oh, yeah, all the time in the world for that. That's absolutely lovely. Simon, the biggest question we get in the comment section is, how can I buy, how can I register, how can I buy, and who can buy?
Anybody can buy at auction. All you have to do is register to be a bidder, which you can do through our website. There's several avenues where you can actually place a bid. Obviously, like any traditional auction, you can turn up and bid on the day. You will have to acquire a pass number to bid live in the main sale auctions. That can be done in the office on the days of the sale if you want. The other options are to place a commission bid with us, and you can do that online and email that through, or you can do it over the phone with us and email that through. Commission bid, in the main auction, you tell us how much you want on a particular lot, and the incremental bidding will go up to the top of that lot, but it won't automatically jump to the top of that figure that you write down. But if somebody bids more than you, obviously, then you're beaten out of the auction, and that's how commission bidding works. Phone bidding is another option. You have to request a phone bid, and you have to do it in good time, because we do get quite booked up with phone bids. And in the age of people not wanting to travel so far with COVID and things like that, we have got a lot of demand on our phone bidding time. So if you want to place a phone bid, please do so early. And one of our team will be in contact about 10 lots, 5 to 10 lots before the lot comes up on the day. And we will then take your bid from you over the phone and bid for you on your behalf in the room.
Perhaps a little more exciting, but less wise than a commission bid, because a commission bid you can place and leave and not run over.
Commission bid is fire and forget.
Yeah.
Phone bidding, there is a risk that phone lines drop out. We can't get hold of you. If you give us a landline as well as a mobile, we'd really appreciate it, because I have to say, it is quite stressful when you can't get hold of a client on a phone bid. And you do, because you want to do your best for the buyers, and you do start panicking a little bit if for some reason he's decided to go and make a cup of tea, or for whatever reason the phone is not answered. That can be quite awkward.
The internet is here.
The internet is here, and you can bid on the Sale Room or Invaluable, 2 bidding platforms that host our catalogue. Just register through them and bid through them. You will need to be approved, and that process takes time, so do not leave that till the last minute.
I made that mistake about 4 auctions ago when I fancied something.
Don't
the day before,
leave
you
it.
cannot...
We shut the registration for bidding a little bit before the sale, so please get in early, register your interest early. Don't leave it till the last minute.
It's not eBay.
It's not. There's no advantage to leaving it to the last minute. There really isn't. Because when you place a commission bid, if you, say, put in a commission bid of £800 on a gun and somebody else puts in a commission bid of £800 on a gun, the one we took first is the winning bid. So get in early.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a placeholder, you can then come back and increase.
Yes.
Thanks for having us once again, and thank you for your wisdom and amazing gun choices.
It's always a pleasure.
It's an interesting sale, this one. There is a lot of very good over and unders.
Yes. Yeah, there are some really, really lovely things to choose from. Some barely used, to some quite unusual ones, and hopefully people will find something to tempt them.
There's other stuff too. There's some amazing stuff besides a pair of Dixons. We didn't even look at them.
No.
You refrained.
I did. I controlled myself.
Yes.
Unusually.
Well, people start to suspect.
Yeah, and there's a Blanche side lever in here which I am fondly looking at.
With the strange square action.
Yeah,
no, I'm
that's
thinking
not
of different
Blanche,
altogether.
no, the Blanche
that
is just,
one.
Yeah, no.
No, that's not
a
Blanche
thumbhole.
either. That's that one I thought was particularly strange.
Yeah, that I think is the Blanche there.
Yes. No, I looked at that on our first run through.
Yeah,
and
okay.
thought, is it this
that
one?
Yeah, with
this
this little
one.
Horsley Type 4-end lease cap.
Just lovely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a properly made
Same as
gun.
that one over there. Just
Yes.
stylish.
Yeah, very
utterly stylish.
Yeah,
Like,
there's
there's nothing out of place.
Nope, side lever there to choose from, under lever over there to choose from, plenty to choose from.
As much as most of these are a bit dreamy, obviously we've got the sealed bid to come. That'll be about in a few weeks' time. That's going to be quite special. We just had a look through there today.
It's huge. It's the biggest seal bid we've ever done. It's got 4,400 and some odd lots in it. It's vast. So if you can't find something there to tempt you, I respectfully suggest you're not trying hard enough.
When are you going to cap the sealed bid?
I think we just have.
Because it's packed.
It is.
They're building new racks.
We have got to double rack it now. We simply cannot physically fit any more in with the space that we have, so we have to work around the problem as we often do. So, but I mean, there's plenty to go at, plenty to choose from.
Tomorrow's going to be a good day looking through that. There is one or two, to me, very nice things.
Yes, there are.
And as you said to the amazing cameraman, for 300 quid you can get yourself a pretty tasty thing. But that's for another day. Right, thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
And we'll see you soon.
Yeah.